Alright everyone, thank you for turning in. This is obviously Dr.inkfish, so I don't really need to tell you that even though I just did. This is going to be my first of a kind of review video a little bit. A lot of times for the reviews that I at least think of in my head, I think of the parts nobody ever talks about. Seems like everyone's always on the same kind of things. I always notice things about games that other people don't. I get excited about the weird things that nobody else seems to care about. So we're going to start off today talking about Gears 5, because for me, that is my favorite Microsoft property by a long shot. If it wasn't for Gears, I don't know if I would even own an Xbox. That's how hardcore I am to the Gears franchise here. Obviously, played all of them from the beginning, everything like that. We'll start off with this one, talking a little bit about Gears 4. This is the second game that is made by the Coalition, same team that made Gears 4. With Gears 4, however, they had to kind of play it safe since it was their first game in the series, kind of like how 343 did with Halo, everything like that. They didn't want to change it too much. They wanted to let people know that the game was still in good hands. So they didn't really take too many chances, kind of kept to the same formula pretty hard. I did enjoy Gears 4 quite a bit. I thought it was really good, because obviously I'm a Gears fan and it just kept doing the same things over and over again, which is what I wanted. On that note, with this one they did change quite a bit. It still has the heart and soul of a Gears game, but you'll definitely notice some differences when you go through playing it. I think the biggest change that they did in it was they added more open world elements to it. The two middle chapters in the campaign are essentially open environment, not so much open world as you would think, but more of like just big, wide open environments, bigger than any level's ever been in a Gears game. And you go through there, there's more diversions. That's where you'd find a lot of the hidden collectibles that would be in the other Gears games. There's a few scattered across the regular mission structure like normal, but a lot of the cog tags, a lot of the collectibles, things like that. There is also a new thing that they added in. There are these special weapons. They're basically the regular weapons that you would find, but some of them will have modifications that you can only find for out in the wild. So you would pick it up and you might find a hammer burst that does double damage or something like that, and as long as you hang on to that, it's going to keep having that boost on it, so you could take that into the rest of the campaign with you. Along with the campaign notes on that, another kind of big addition on there, obviously it still has co-op like the other ones did, and that was a lot of fun. But one of the big things that they changed was they had it where you can play as Jack through the campaign. The entire campaign you can play as Jack itself, as long as you're not, it has to be second or third player. You can't play single player through that. But essentially what that does is, that is kind of like a support class in a way. So you can, as Jack, you can cloak anybody else on your team. You can put a shield over anybody else on the team. You can stun enemies. You can control enemies for a short amount of time after that amount of upgrades, everything like that. It's actually a lot of fun to do. I had a couple of the people that I played through with just played through as Jack, because they had a better time doing that than they did in the playing as a normal boots on the ground Gears person, whatever you'd call them. But from the campaign, I thought it was actually really good. I thought that the last chapter, the last chunk of the campaign was absolutely insane. It was so fast-paced and so chaotic and fun. It was worth playing through the entire game just to get to that last chunk. That's like, if you're a Gears fan, you're gonna freak out for that last chunk of the game. No question. Because it is totally just 100% everything you think of when you think of Gears. Off of that one, I've touched on every mode in the game so far. Another one that I really wanted to talk about this time around was Horde mode, which I had always enjoyed the Horde mode ever since it started. They've all, you know, they've had hits and misses, stuff like that, but I think this one for me is the strongest. It takes a little bit more to get used to because it's all class based, which goes into the regular versus arcade mode kind of thing, but I'll get into that in a second. And how it's class based is not everybody can build fortifications. So you only have certain classes, you only have certain characters that can build the fortifications. But everybody else specializes in one thing or another. One person can like send out a decoy, one person can become invisible for a little bit. There's other kind of ultimate abilities, I guess you could call it, that coincide with either what that character would be like or just an archetype kind of deal. This was the first horde mode out of all of them that I was able to finish all 50 rounds. Granted, I think it was on normal or easy or something like that, but for me, in the times I've tried to run through it, even with a group of friends, I've never been able to hit level 50 because people would drop out and there would only be one or two of us left throughout all of that. They either changed it this time or I'm a complete idiot and didn't pay any attention last time. But this one has mid-match drop-in for horde mode, which that was a complete game changer. I had a party of 3, me and 2 others were going through there. After about round 26, 27, something like that, we had one person drop out. So we figured, oh, you know, it's just going to keep slowly going downhill after this. Little did we know, somebody joined right back in right away. So we had off and on the 5 people pretty much the whole time. And I picked a engineer class where I was the one that could build fortifications. There was one or two other people that could, but found a real big choke point on this map where I would build all of the fortifications back in the back corner building, and it seemed a lot of things spawned right there. So if you can play a map long enough to know where common spawn points are, and you're building stuff around that, especially when it's in a building and they have to kind of go out of their way to destroy it, I think that helped a lot. I went up like, 18 levels or something like that in the overworld game. It was ridiculous. So even though we kind of cheesed it and might not have been completely fair, I'm still super happy that that's the first one I was actually able to hit level 50 on. Because I had been trying to do that for a long time and would eventually just give up after like 20 rounds or something, even on the easiest difficulty, because eventually it would just be you by yourself, and then, you know, makes it way more difficult than it should be. I touched on escape mode a little bit. That's the newest mode that was added in fresh to Gears 5. It is essentially a start at one end of the map, run, plant a bomb, and run back out. But it's based around a tile map editor, something akin to Time Splitters, or something along the lines of that, kind of like Doom, Doom 2016 kind of has that little snap builder like that. But it made me think of Time Splitters a lot because you can customize the lighting, the environment, the amount of enemies, enemy placement, everything like that in there. So it's kind of cool. There is some maps that come with the game itself, but a lot of that is trying to design a map for you and your friends to play through. Make it challenging, make sure they can get through it. Another thing I like is it's kind of like Mario Maker, where if you can't complete the map, it can't be uploaded. So any of the maps that you find that are posted online, anything like that, are going to be ones that are possible to complete. So there's not going to be any trolling maps, any kind of dead-end maps, anything like that. The little bit that I did play through it seemed kind of cool. It would definitely be a fun one to play through with a group of friends. It, too, is also 3-player co-op like the main campaign is. So if you've got 2 other friends, you're set for Gears, pretty much. It takes place with a new cast of 3 characters that aren't in the main campaign. It's kind of a standoff thing. Each one of them has specialties, everything like that you would expect from everything else. Kind of plays in the same way a little bit that Horde mode does. There's cards you can select to give boost, give extra XP, that kind of thing there. I didn't play around with it too much, but the map making part of it was definitely cool because it brought back a lot of good Time Splitters memories and all the ridiculous stuff we used to do in that. And for the last thing, I think I'll touch on the arcade mode or the versus mode, whatever you have it for the last little bit here. Basically, typical fare. I think that they took the balancing and perfected it a little bit. I seem to be playing a little bit better in this one than I normally do. Especially competitive online, playing against other people, that kind of thing. I think that they've got a good example on that would be the recoil on the Lancer. I think that I can't tell if they made it recoil more or less, but it just kind of feels a little bit better. I think they added a little bit less recoil to it, made it a little bit tighter shot. New weapons are okay. They're fine. I still usually stick to the tried and true, what I'm used to, essentially, on that. They did move the buttons around a little bit, too, so that's going to be something that's a little bit tricky there. There is a separate melee button along with the, like, revving up the chainsaw kind of thing, which had that a little bit in Gears 4, but the button layout overall is kind of different. They kind of put things in different spots, so it takes a little bit to get used to. If you're jumping from 4 directly into 5, or even if especially if you're jumping into like 2 or 3 up into 5. One thing that they added in, though, was in the just regular arcade quick play kind of mode, they have a class system like they do in the Horde mode, where different characters start with different weapons, have different ultimates, that kind of thing. Another thing that they also did was they kind of have this neat thing where you can select random weapons on a scale. If you get 2, 4, or 6 kills, depending on which one, they will have different weapons, different kind of special weapons that will unlock for you at those points. You can cash in the points for it, so you don't. If you get 6 kills, you could do a 2 and a 4. If you get 12, you could get 2 6s, that kind of thing. You could save them up for the end. Some characters have pre-assigned 3 different weapons that you can get. Other ones will have random for all 3. And, like, obviously a tier 6 weapon would be something cooler than a tier 2 weapon, or have a chance of getting something cooler. I always like to do the random ones, because they usually have the better options. There's usually nothing too insane in the guaranteed ones. You might find a overkill or something might be the top thing that you're going to find. But if you do the random one, I've gotten tri-shots, I've gotten mulchers, I've gotten drop shots, I've gotten all kinds of crazy stuff out of there. But I've also gotten like smoke grenades and stuff. So it's kind of what kind of chance you want to take. But for me, if I'm playing something like King of the Hill or more of the like location based ones, I like to do the randoms, because if I end up getting that bigger weapon, it can definitely turn the tide of the match. I think that so far is everything that I wanted to touch on for Gears 5, though. I would definitely recommend playing it if you're a Gears fan. I had a lot of fun with that. I played it on the Xbox One X, and it was 4K, 60 frames the whole time. It was definitely a gorgeous looking game. Ran perfectly, everything like that. Definitely highly, highly, highly recommended on that one. It's probably overall my favorite Gears. There were some things I liked a little bit more, maybe about the other ones, but this one was just so good in all of the aspects, and it's such a complete package. You get so much out of this game, it's ridiculous. With all the modes in there, that escape mode could have just been a little tagged on thing, but it's got a map editor in it, and it's got a lot of depth and layers and everything to it. Campaign's bigger than it's ever been. It was a good 16 or 18 hours probably for a Gears campaign, which that's, I mean, you could play through the first 3 in that amount of time probably. So definitely highly recommended on that one. I'm going to be doing more reviews down the line. If there's anything that you guys want me to review, pop it on there. I'll look into checking that out if I haven't already, putting a review down on it. I got a lot of games that I'm trying to slowly chip away at. Some of these ones that take way too long to finish. Persona 5 is a good one. I'm working on Persona 5. I've been playing that since the day it came out and still not even, probably 3/4 of the way through it. So that might be another one down the road eventually that I tag on to. And any of the older ones, there's a lot of older games that I always go back to, stuff like that. So If you guys ever come up with anything that you want me to review, just let me know. I'll take a look at it, definitely. We'll have fun with that together. I'm always streaming a lot of games on here and Mixer. It's also Dr. Inkfish on Mixer too, if I'm on my Xbox. Stream a lot of stuff on PC. Gonna start streaming on the Switch here soon, so just let me know if you guys see anything you like, and subscribe. Let me know how everything's going. Talk to you guys later.